People are still arguing about whether Linkin Park's new vocalist Emily Armstrong can replace the legend that was Chester Bennington. While you drop your thoughts in the comments below, this video isn't about who's better. This is about the greatest scream vocals that exist, and today we have a top 10. Hit like on this video and let's go on one hell of a ride through the world of extreme vocals. Chester Bennington didn't think of himself as a screamer. He thought of himself as a singer, the kind who could move from a whisper to a full-throated howl inside the same verse and make both feel completely natural. The 17-second scream in Given Up was never planned.
Here's the chorus. I've given up! Right? Put the popper stopper off. I've given up!
Chester was in the vocal booth, reading the lyrics off a piece of paper. He hadn't learned the structure of the song yet. When the bridge came, he didn't know how many measures he had, so he just held the note, as long as he possibly could. He walked out sweating and laughing. Shinoda was already screaming from his chair. That's the most epic thing I've ever heard. I'm building the whole song around it.
I've definitely said this before. I think Chester's one of the best singers in the world. The fact that he's the singer in the band I'm in is like pretty dope for me.
Here's what that scream was actually about. Chester wrote Given Up right after rehab, after the period of waking up shaking in a dark closet, needing a drink just to stop the seizures. The working title was What the Fuck Is Wrong With Me? When he got into that booth, the scream didn't come from technique. It came from all that. And it set a bar that nobody has fully cleared since. At a Linkin Park tribute show, one vocalist tried to replicate that 17-second scream. And honestly, some fans in the comments said he pulled it off better than Emily. The fact that people are still debating this says everything. Nobody forgets what Chester built. The question is, does anyone carry it forward? But to be fair, let's hear Emily out, because her scream vocal deserves its own verdict. Armstrong spent a decade fronting Dead Sarah, a Los Angeles hard rock band with a fiercely loyal following and almost no mainstream reach. She was pouring everything into half-full rooms, the kind of singer who was always too big for the stages she was playing. Then Linkin Park called. Her first show with the band, 70,000 people in Seoul. She walked out and opened her mouth, and the room found out exactly who she was. Variety called her a scream queen. They asked what kind of vocal coach had told her it was okay to do that to her voice night after night on a world tour. The answer is simple. This isn't a new gear she found. It's the only gear she's ever used.
This is what you asked for!
Her scream on Heavy as the Crown set off comparisons to Chester across the entire rock and metal world. And in the behind-the-scenes footage from the recording of From Zero, you can see exactly how that happened. Mike Shinoda asks the studio crew to dim the lights in the vocal booth to recreate the feeling of a live stage. Then he tells Armstrong to give everything she's got, and she does.
You are at the show, Emily. You're at the show.
That's what you asked for!
Gold medal! Gold star! Are you okay in there?
Yeah.
Chester's scream became a legend the moment the single dropped, 2 decades ago. Emily has to prove herself every single time she steps up to that mic. That's a different kind of pressure, and she keeps showing up for it. So does Emily Armstrong rightfully hold the spot as Linkin Park's frontwoman? Tell us what you think in the comments. Before we get into it, a quick distinction. A scream and a growl are not the same thing. A scream is pitched, driven by air pressure, and lives in the upper register. Think Chester, think Serj. A growl, or guttural, comes from the false chords and sits deep and low. Think Randy Blythe. Think Tatiana on her heaviest breakdowns. Some of the vocalists on this list do both. We're counting all of it, because whether it's a scream or a growl, the result is the same. It hits you somewhere words alone never could. She taught herself to scream by practicing into a pillow, in Ukraine, at temperatures 15 degrees below Celsius. She was skipping school, sneaking into an empty apartment, and screaming into fabric so the neighbors wouldn't hear. She calls it the technique of 2 throats. One stays clean, one growls. The switch happens mid-song in a single breath in real time, and it took years of daily training before she could do it reliably. She still says some mornings she wakes up and the skill is just gone, like it was never there.
Kind of like if you don't practice it, or if you overkill it, if you do it like every day and like doing it too much, it starts to slip through your fingers, you're losing it. And I believe me, I've lost that few times.
When the live video of Pisces went viral in 2019, the comments were full of people convinced the audio had been dubbed. It hadn't. Some people couldn't believe that this song was being performed by just one singer. Her voice changes so drastically, it feels like 2 completely different vocalists are fighting inside the same track. The scream you hear in Pisces is not a technique, it's a biography. Had you heard Tatiana Shmayluk before? Drop a comment. When did you first discover Ginger?
It's winter, and it was, I remember, 8 p.m. and it was like 15 degrees below zero. And me and that friend who showed me OTAB, we went to the outskirts, and I started just screaming at cars that were passing by. I practiced one song.
Courtney LaPlante's first memory of extreme vocals is Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. She's 5. Cannibal Corpse appears on screen. Her brain processes it the only way a 5-year-old can. This sounds like an animal from National Geographic. She spent the next 13 years thinking death metal was the weirdest thing she'd ever heard. At 18, she recorded her first scream, over a breakdown her brother wrote. Even then, she never practiced at home. Walls were thin, people would hear. Most of her development happened in rehearsal rooms, under pressure in front of other musicians. Her technique is sheer volume. Most trained extreme vocalists learn to produce massive sound with minimum physical effort. Courtney is the opposite. Her words, "My scream without a microphone is crazy loud." It's brute force, harnessed over years into something precise. Jaded earned Spirit Box their first Grammy nomination. At the ceremony, a reporter mistook her for another nominee. She handled it gracefully, because she doesn't need the room to know who she is. The scream already announced it.
I am Poppy, and I am really happy to be here, nominated with Knocked Loose. I really hope we win.
Angels deserve to die.
Nobody told Serj Tankian how to scream. Nobody told him how to sing either. He started as a keyboardist, thrown into vocals in a pre-sewed band. No training, no technique, just the idea that his voice was another instrument. A chaotic, unpredictable instrument that he decided to treat exactly that way. The result? A vocal style no impressionist has ever successfully copied. He shifts from operatic baritone to carnival barker screech to Armenian folk melody inside a single song. A VVN music study measured his range at 4.2 octaves. But the number is beside the point. The point is what he does inside those octaves. He told Zane Lowe that his screams came from a frequency his voice naturally distorted at. His words, "I screamed because it would distort at a certain frequency. And now it's not distorting. What can I do about it?" That's not a singer. That's a scientist describing a phenomenon he discovered in himself. The most devastating moment in his catalog isn't even a scream. It's the quivering delivery of "Why Have You Forsaken Me" in Chop Suey. So emotionally violent that the 100th listen hits the same as the first. In 2022, 45 seconds of footage surfaced from March 2001. Corey Taylor in a candlelit studio, recording for Iowa. Comments on the video were unanimous. People said their throat hurt just watching. Iowa was recorded under extreme pressure. No recovery time after touring. Ross Robinson pushing the band to their limit. The result was one of the most vocally extreme albums in mainstream metal history. Recording the title track, the 15-minute closer, Corey was alone in the dark, completely naked. His words, "That's where the best stuff comes from. You gotta break yourself down before you can build something great." But here's what separates him from a one-dimensional screamer. Stone Sour's Snuff is a fully realized ballad.
So if you love me, let me go. Oh, right before I know.
Vermilion Part 2 is fragile and delicate. And then the same man steps on stage with Slipknot and delivers Eyeless like he's trying to burn the building down with his voice. His full spectrum has been analyzed at over 6 octaves, a number that puts him alongside Mike Patton as one of the most versatile rock vocalists alive. He joined Slipknot in 1997, still there, still screaming, still intact. Before Korn, Jonathan Davis worked as an assistant coroner in Bakersfield, California. He spent his days around death, around the paperwork of people's worst moments. When you know that, the first time you hear Blind makes a completely different kind of sense. Davis invented a category that exists somewhere between screaming, growling, scat singing, and emotional vomiting. He cited Faith No More and Mr. Bungle as foundational, bands that gave him permission to not be a conventional singer at all. His range runs from melodic falsetto all the way down to what vocal analysts call attitude fry. used not for pitch but for atmosphere.
Fuck you, Miss Brown! Don't worry, don't sorry, because I just want to kiss that frown.
That creeping, skin-crawling presence you feel before you even process what he's saying. His signature is the scat, boom da boom, in Freak on a Leash. Not words, not a scream, something that came from a man who decided language simply wasn't enough. 3 decades in, nobody has come close to copying it.
It's angry, mad, sad, it's everything. It's just emotion. It's a release. I'm doing it for kids too. They get to come to the shows, get all those aggressions out, have a good time, and just feel, leave feeling they got it off their chest,
Marilyn Manson's vocal is theater as much as it is music. And that's not a criticism. That is the point. His name is a collision. Marilyn Monroe and Charles Manson. Feminine beauty and masculine violence. The same logic applies to his voice. It moves between baritone seduction and industrial screaming with the deliberateness of a stage director. His range spans over 3 octaves, from a bass A1 to an E6 in the whistle register. He says his voice has 5 distinct tonal personalities. Mixing engineer Robert Carranza found that when those 5 tones are mapped in a phrasal analyzer, they form a pentagram. He said this like it wasn't the most metal fact anyone's ever stated about themselves. His early albums were produced by Trent Reznor. Reznor's industrial aesthetic shaped everything. Heavy compression, deliberate clipping, sounds that technically shouldn't work in a mix, but make the voice feel unstable, threatening. Producers describe his vocal stack as triple-tracked, main take, double take, and a degraded spoken take running underneath. That low, creaking presence you feel more than hear. The scream isn't Manson's most powerful instrument. The controlled velvet over gravel delivery is. But when he does scream, Beautiful People, Irresponsible Hate Anthem, it lands harder because it's surrounded by restraint. The silence makes the scream louder.
Now enough for a monster!
At 15, Maria Brink became a mother. She was living in poverty, helping her mother through addiction, working at a laundromat to pay rent. She moved to Los Angeles at 25 with nothing except certainty that she was supposed to be singing. She auditioned for a band. The guitarist turned her down, because she was a woman. 2 weeks later, he called back and apologized. That band became In This Moment. What separates Maria from everyone else on this list is the theatrical intelligence behind her scream. It's not just a sound, it's a costume, it's lighting, it's choreography. The Purge, released in 2023, contains a scream section approximately 28 seconds long. Studio versus live documentation shows she takes one breath for the entire duration. She cited Phil Anselmo of Pantera as a vocal influence, and Sarah McLachlan. Hold both those names in your head simultaneously. If you can understand how those two voices exist in the same artist, you understand Maria Brink completely. The Blood album in 2012 was a full reinvention. Gothic, theatrical, cinematic. Screams that feel like declarations of survival, not aggression. Rock Goddess of the Year, Loudwire 2013 and 2015. 2-time winner. She earned it. Randy Blythe never intended to scream for a living. He wanted to be the punk rock Johnny Rotten of the South. His own words, "Never ever 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 did I take it seriously. I never ever thought I would be in a heavy metal band." And then he got very good at it. His style sits between thrash metal bark and groove metal growl. What's remarkable is his enunciation. Unlike most extreme vocalists, you can hear every single word Randy Blythe says. The lyrics don't disappear into distortion. They fight their way through it. In 2012, he was arrested in Prague, charged in connection with the death of a young fan at a 2010 concert. He spent 5 weeks in a Czech prison. He went back to stand trial. He was acquitted. He wrote a book about it, Dark Days, which became a bestseller. He recorded Lamb of God's Resolution album completely sober after years struggling with alcoholism. He said sobriety made his vocal performance more controlled, and because of that control, more powerful. In 2015, Overlord came out with extended clean vocals. The metal internet said he'd sold out. He answered simply, screaming wasn't something he felt the need to do anymore. Not because he couldn't, but because he'd already said what he needed to say that way. That's a man who understands what his instrument is for.
Try and sound like yourself. But for me, I've never been the dude that sat around and practiced screaming.
These 10 voices don't just represent screaming. They represent what happens when a human being decides that regular speech isn't enough. When the emotion inside is too large for words, too vast for melody. When the only honest thing left is to open your throat and let it tear. We started with Chester. We end with Chester. Because some things in music don't need to be ranked. They just need to be remembered. Drop your favorite screen vocalists in the comments. Let me know who is missing from today's top. And don't forget to like the video. If you want part 2, I'll make it and include your picks too. See you in the next video.